Welcome to Conversations with. On this show, my guests and I explore the bumps and triumphs of their journey to extract the gems from their experiences, because success leaves clues, and today we turn those clues into billboards for you. I'm your host, Gene Bernier, founder of Peeled Back, speaker and co-active coach, guiding leaders to pursue a life worth living. Hey, welcome everybody to episode 117 of the Conversations with. Today, I'm going to be chatting with Nick Soldo, a dedicated single father turned entrepreneur. Nick left his demanding career to start his own business, inspiring not just his daughter Savannah, but also countless other fathers. He nurtures his entrepreneur spirit and passes it on to his daughter, fostering her journey into the arts. Realizing the challenges faced by many fathers, Nick founded Fatherpreneur Fundamentals to create a supportive community. Let's tune in now to Nick's courageous leap, the power of determination, and his vision for fostering a brighter future through entrepreneurship. Nick, my words cannot do you justice, so let's jump into it, sir. Welcome so much for being on the show today.
No, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, Gene.
Oh, I love it. And I love the shirt. Stitch is with us too today.
Of course, we're big fans of Stitch. Everything Disney, anything that brings a smile to our face, we're fans of.
Oh, I love it. Well, typically people are asking me about my background, but I see a throne in your background. Care to share a little bit about what's happening back there?
Yeah, absolutely. So this throne, and then is that throne also in the picture as well? Yep. And so both of those, perfect. And so both of those, yeah, we're going to have some fun here soon. We're going to be rolling out a daddy-daughter YouTube show / podcast. We're going to bring on other father-kid combos and, just talk life and business. And I want to give an opportunity, a segment for the kids to, really ask questions and talk about, their perspective of not only their father's entrepreneur journey, but their interest in their own.
That's so awesome, man. I look forward to seeing that. And I love that you're already set up and with the props and ready to go.
Thank you. I've been collecting stuff for quite over the years. As you can see, I got a lot of materials and artwork. So I'm grateful to have a place to showcase it.
Yeah, well, it speaks to life. You're collecting things and things that are meaningful, right? Instead of having something bland, you get to show a little bit about your personality, and probably tells a little bit about the story and the journey you've been on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember on our first call, I saw your background and it was just like instantly, like I kind of got an idea of your interests, your hobbies, like you said, your journey, and it really sheds some light on it. So I love it. I love being able to express myself that way.
I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey. So tell us, kind of like, start at the beginning of your of this adventure for you. What laid the seeds from going from a demanding job, I know it was in hospitality, to where you are today? And like, let's just talk about the couple iterations that you had to go through and the learnings that you needed to inspire and bring more of that entrepreneurial spirit out.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty exciting journey, I mean, I would consider myself growing up as a gamer. So I always had, I would say, like a entrepreneurial creative spirit to create video games. And, I always have a passion to develop a new idea or a new genre or something of that nature. And that was what I wanted to study in school, game design and programming, because I wanted to create my own games as a kid. And pursuing your career as a college student, where else do you work? I mean, most of us were in the hospitality industry. So, I was serving, I was bartending, and just fell in love with it, honestly. And, for me, serving and bartending is a form of entrepreneurship. I mean, you represent yourself. Yes, you work, you're going to a restaurant, you represent that brand and company, but you are in charge of your outcome that evening and your own business. If you want regulars, that's on you. Like, you can build your own book of business in a restaurant, essentially. I fell in love with it. I remember wanting to be a bartender, training to be a bartender. Then I quickly got into the sales and catering aspect of it. Got into management in the restaurant industry, private events, banquets, trade shows. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't work holidays. I can't work the weekends evenings. I'm missing out on time with my daughter.
I think that's an important step there in realization is like when you say when you get to that place of I can't anymore. There's like a bit of like a sadness to it, but there's also can be an incredible empowerment to it. When you got to that place, I can't do this anymore. It's not for the lack of love, not for the lack of enjoyment that you're doing, but for the lack of experiences and memories that you were missing out on with your daughter as she was little. Tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about like what that was like for you to be get to that point of I can't do this anymore and being like you had some choices to make.
I mean, it's you hit your breaking point. Like as cliche as it sounds, you really do hit a breaking point, and you're like, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
And for me, my saving grace was, and for the, it's funny because for a lot of people, this is also where they try to escape. But for me, the corporate world was my saving grace. Like, hey, I can get my weekends. I get
Right.
PTO. I get Christmas morning with my daughter. Like,
Mm.
that's what I'm looking for.
That
So
that's
that's
that's an interesting like flip on it. I've had a lot of guests that have talked about escaping the corporate world to go into entrepreneurship, and you escaped like entrepreneurial like hospitality space to get to a corporate world so you could have some time off.
exactly. And, so of course, my pursuit through school really came to a halt when I got consumed by the hospitality industry. And I was dedicated to being a family man.
Yeah.
What I studied in school was around will I be available? Will I be traveling? I
Mm.
always was concerned about being present for my family. And so that's why the corporate world for me was like, hey, this is it. But don't get me wrong, Gene, I didn't last long. I did not last very long at all. I was only there for a couple of years before, you know what? I transitioned to entertainment, sales, group sales, and I was like, again, this is not for me. And it was during COVID, so COVID, um, although of course COVID did a number around the world, like it really shed light on me for like, hey, time, just time in general. Time is the commodity. And as a single parent, COVID, my daughter schooling from home, having to go to the office still, it was, you know what? Again, this is not for me. And I left. And I just took a leap of faith and was like, I'm opening up a business for myself with me and a couple of my brothers. They're my best friends. I've grew up with them my entire life. And you're like, you know what? We're committed to this. Let's all do this. And we all took a leap.
That's incredible. So you faced another one of these I can't do this anymore moments, had a choice. And it sounds like there's a bit of a pattern here, Nick, that you're choosing to have faith in yourself, yet not really knowing how it's going to go, but going, "Ah, I think I'll figure this out."
Every single time. Every single time. I'll figure it out. And even with this fatherpreneur journey, it's like this happened by accident. This is a total accidental journey that I'm currently on. And you know what? I'm figuring it out every day.
Yeah. And I think that's that's the core of like, I'll say life period, right? I think when we're thinking about, a lot of my guests are going, I'm trying to build a business, but you're trying to build a life. And it just so happens you're fitting this thing called business and career into a section of that life to bring the most out of it. And to do that, like I'm hearing from you, is like that it requires at times to have that leap of faith. And that faith is what I'm hearing directed inwards.
No, that's beautifully said. I mean, I feel like there's a lot, and I have mentioned this many times, there's a lot of pressure on work-life balance and,
Mm.
balancing and having to sacrifice one or the other. I mean, as a kid, I did it. As I said, I sacrificed my school career to pursue being my family because in my mind, you can't have both. And in a lot of people's mind, you can't have both, which is not true at all because I live the opposite now, and a lot of other people do as well.
So tell me about living the life of the opposite of that, of having it both. And what does that really mean? Because on the surface, you're like, oh, I get to have it both, my cake, and eat it too. This sounds great. Well, if you're going to have cake, you may as well eat it, right? So,
As long as it's chocolate cake. And of course, it's easier said than done, like everything. I mean, taking a leap of faith, there's a lot of sacrifice in it. And it's not like I had a lot of money stored when I took that leap. I just, again, believed in myself and believed in my vision and had a passion for what I was doing, you
Right.
know. And throughout my career, I've always loved what I've done. I mean, I'm an extremely passionate person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I wear my company on my sleeve as well. Every company I've represented, I walk out the door, I'm still working for that company in my mind, and I
Right.
still, am a brand ambassador. Um, and I take that approach to everything.
So what is it now? This place of sacrifice. I think that's an interesting word that has come up a couple times here, and you hear it throughout the whole like you gotta grind, you gotta especially when hustle culture was like the hot new thing to do. Is like, oh, you gotta put the sacrifice in, but like, is that even the right word for it anymore? Like now that you've gone through these multiple I can't do this anymore stages, do you now look at it going, oh, I gotta sacrifice my career. I got to sacrifice my family. I got to sacrifice my friends. Like, is that? I'm seeing you shake your head. So what does resonate in that spot now?
It's funny because when I first changed my headline to Fatherpreneur on LinkedIn, what followed was something like stop sacrificing life or business, or like stop sacrificing family or your pursuit, your passion, or something of
Yeah.
that nature. Um, and now it's like, man, I remember scrapping that word, and now it's like cringy to me because I don't like the word sacrifice. I don't like the word balance. I understand the concept, of course, and I understand in some people's equations that are those are the variables that are needed, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, the word is integration.
Mm.
I integrate. I integrate my daughter into my work. I integrate my work into my life. I am me all the way through, you know. I hit a point in time where it was like and my father used to say this, like, I was a completely different person in the workplace than I am at home. And like
Mm.
I found myself being two different people. And a lot of people say like your customer service voice, like like, but I just, I was tired of that again.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I want to be me. And you shouldn't have to wait till 5 o'clock to turn that voice off or now be with your kids or wait till Friday. And now it's like, hey, it's Saturday and Sunday. I'm not working at all. I'm spending time with my family. But you just wasted 5 days out of the like 5 to 2 is not a good ratio. And for me, whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like I'm shutting down and I will not work the rest of the day if I have to spend time with my daughter. But on the flip side of the coin, when she goes to sleep and I'll work till midnight or 1 a.m. if needed, or I'll take a call on a Saturday or Sunday. Like
Yeah.
I'm always me.
I love your word integration. It's like it's a powerful it it's a powerful word, and I hope people are kind of hearing what that means when you strip away this word of sacrifice and balance. I'm on the same page with you with balance. I love harmony. It's like all things make up the song, right? Like it's not always the same note that you're going to strike, but like the other side of that integration is that place of like pulling off the traditional mask that you put on your life. Like, oh, I'm leaving to work. Here's work me. Here's
Yeah.
socializing me. Here's husband me. Here's dad me. Here's gamer me. Like, and you put them all onto the floor. When those masks are all taken away, like looking at yourself, going, "Who the hell is that guy?"
It's so interesting, And again, I guess I hit a point where it's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Um,
Mm.
and it kind of happened, I guess, throughout LinkedIn. And I'm still on this journey and still on this process of finding my voice and finding what my mission is. And to go back to the fatherpreneur, as I said, it happened accidentally. So I truly think this has become my calling, and
Yeah.
this is who I am now. And it's great that growing up wanting to be a father, learning all these different skills, and and having all these resources throughout my professional career, it's now coming full circle to where I'm able to do that through my father. Apply all this knowledge to being a father, like
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
And that's that full circle integration. So
Yeah.
you've mentioned fatherpreneur a few times. Why don't we jump into, so you've talked about hospitality, escaping hospitality to the safe harbor of corporate, going, oh God, corporate isn't as good as I thought, into entrepreneurship. You started something with some friends, and I'm going to assume we'll backfill here for the audience that that isn't where you are right now. That there was yet another leap to getting into what you've alluded to as fatherpreneur. You kind of like fell into, you found it, going, oh, I wasn't looking for this, but yet here it is.
Yeah. And when I took that leap in 2020, it was, again, like I made a sacrifice, but I still was losing to a degree. I mean, like I kept hearing from my daughter, I work too much, or all I do is work. And again, it's like, honey, like I'm trying to open up my own business. And this is the struggle and sacrifice that a lot of people feel, where it's like, hey, I'm sacrificing the time with my daughter or my family to build my business. And that's when the light bulb clicked for me. And it was like, hey, I started to, rather than exclude that or like shut down that time, like, hey, I'm working without my daughter. It was working with my daughter and like integrating her with everything I was doing. So she understood where my time was going. It wasn't just daddy's working. It was exactly, she understood exactly what I was doing. And it was in some boring stuff. And she still, found a passion for it. So that's when I was like, all right, this feels like the secret sauce. Like you don't have to pick one or the other. Just do it all the time. Like try and integrate every aspect of your life.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
when you talk about integrating, we see the throne and the little throne beside it. Was that what it was like? Did she like start working, being around you while you're working, talking about what you're doing and
Yeah.
sharing upon that?
Yeah. I mean, I quite literally gave my kitchen table to my brother and set up a desk in my living room with her desk right next to me. And we co-worked together. I mean,
Oh, I love that.
I would work, she would work, she would help me, I would help her. And that's when she developed this passion and started, this entrepreneurial journey of her own, where
Well,
she wanted to start her own art business.
I love that so much. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about her art business and like what sparked her. And because it sounds like when you talk about it, you light up, my friend. So like, let's give her a little bit of a shine here for a moment.
She's the best, man. I mean, it doesn't get better than her. And she just has such a pure soul and heart. And like, you could tell she understood my heart and my love for my work.
Yeah.
And I feel like when your kid sees that you love what you're doing and like you're involving them, it's a game changer.
Mm.
And at that moment in time, it was like, I love art. I want to do an art bit. I want to make art. And a buddy of mine was like, you should do an art show, like make an event. And I was like, perfect. Like this is what we're going to do. So I let her run with it. She
Yeah.
picked food, beverages, decorations. She picked the supplies that she was going to use. She did, all of the artwork. She did pricing. She did the operations of the show itself, like how they're going to pay for it, where the money's going to go. Like she did a little raffle as well to like do a giveaway. Like it was just so funny, man. And like so amazing. Um, and it wasn't just about, you have to work hard to make money. Like, we all could teach our kids, yeah, go set up a lemonade stand on the corner. You have to work hard to make money. It was no, that's not it. It was Savannah. That's my daughter's name, Savannah. Savannah, if you love drawing, if you love painting and you have a passion for art, you can do this for a living. Like you can pursue this. And this is how you do it. And there was a whole, process behind it. And she just was really receptive of it. And yeah, it was just incredible. And ever since then, I mean, it's always a new side, like you mentioned, side hustles before. She
Yeah.
has the mentality. It's always like trying to come up with a new business idea and side hustle. And that's how I was as a kid.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And to let them explore that in that it's I think that's more than a safe space. That's a very brave space, right? Because like there's opportunities for learning, which also means there's opportunities for it not to go the way that they'd imagined and being okay with that. Because guess what? Anybody that's listening, you're building a life. It's not going to go the way that you initially imagined.
Yeah, of course
There's
not.
not too many variables. Wish it did, but it doesn't. But if you need help, come check us out. Shameless plug. Uh,
Plugs are
so,
needed.
right? But like, I think that in itself is the most beautiful of the gift that that you give, to sit there with her, guide her through it, going, there are steps, there's procedures to follow to do this and to do it to get to the best opportunity to get to where you want to. And there's also a space, like this feeling space, going like, you're either going to be super excited, okay about it, or maybe there's something that's going to be sad, or maybe you're going to get pissed off along the way. And all those things are welcome to be here with us today.
I mean, it's all just about, in my mind, just like pursuing what you enjoy doing. Like, that's just what I wanted her to understand. Like, if you enjoy doing something, do it. Enjoy life. That's what life is for. Enjoying it and making the most of those moments. Um, and I really tried to. And, I documented the whole thing because I knew at some point in time, like, this will be something.
Yeah.
So, it was, and I still have it. I haven't created it into anything. We're working on it, but it was just incredible. And I'm really looking forward to, getting that, producing that one day.
That's really cool, my friend. You said the pursuing things that you enjoy. How has that shifted over these last 10 years as you've gone through hospitality, corporate, and all these other like endeavors on the surface, but multiple like, I can't do this anymore? Has that started to shift and change what it means to pursue what you enjoy?
I don't believe so, because I wouldn't tell anybody to not pursue their dreams, or to,
Mm-hmm.
because it might not go the way they envision, or it might go terribly wrong. It's still worth the pursuit. It's still worth the journey. I have no regrets in life, and of and not even a letter, if you get that right. But, and I don't mean that in like, like some cocky way, but just like, even the things that I've done wrong, there was a lesson that was learned, and every, especially professionally, every pursuit that I've had, every leap of faith on the way down, whether, I made my way back up or not, like, there is a huge learning curve and experiences that
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what's on that side of the cliff until you take that jump. Um, so I would take the jump over and over and over again. That's what I'm doing right now, actually.
So how is, I love that idea that Ben before of like, when you're at the top and you decide you have that, I can't do this anymore, there is a downward, you have to go down for a little bit, right? You're coming back off that mountain, re-preparing to go find your next mountain to go hunt after. But the piece that stuck out for me when you were talking about it, Nick, is like, you get to bring all that experience with you. You get to choose what you do with it and how it influences the next time you're going to plan, the next steps, how you're going to take it tactically, and what you're going to do when you're at the top, knowing I'm going to get to the top. I may find another I can't do this anymore experience, going, I need another one. Back down the hill I go. What
Yeah.
is it like freeing yourself from, now that's my wording, but like, it sounds like you free yourself from going, "Ah, I got to it, achieved my dream, I can do that gut check going, do I want to do this again, or is it time for something new?" So I guess the question is, for you now, having experienced all that, how do you get right with that answer as quickly as possible?
That's a good question. And I think it goes back to just what I said. I mean, I really do believe that you don't learn those experiences unless you take that journey. And for it kind of goes back to the full circle. Like, would I have been able to now take this jump in Fatherpreneur if I didn't take the last jump? Like, if
Yeah.
I didn't take that last jump and learn XYZ, would I have even been knowledgeable, or even, courageous enough to now take this leap of faith
Totally.
again into this next journey if I didn't do it last time? And so, I don't know. It's really interesting to me because, even just LinkedIn, like, I'm not a social platform person. I don't put my life out there. Even like my Facebook and Instagram, I'm not even the person that really like posts about people's birthdays, or like hot, like, I'm very introverted in that degree. But LinkedIn was the first place where I really took a leap of faith. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a leap and put myself out there and post content about my life. And in doing so, Fatherpreneur became a brand out of nothing. So it's like, again, a simple leap of just putting yourself on a platform, it started something. So yeah, it's like I don't know, like a domino effect, but like an upward domino effect because it's falling down. But like I don't know, it's interesting.
Well, I hear it like in the way of like it's like almost like compound interest. With each jump, you said, if I didn't take the last jump, I wouldn't have had the courage to take the next jump, knowing, oh, I have to take this jump to get the courage. That in itself is like a flip of like probably a bit of the script going, I need the courage to take the jump. Be like, no, I got to jump to go get the courage. No, okay, I got it. Oh
Wow.
man, I gotta do this again. Okay,
Yeah,
I need
wow.
more courage. So the
Like,
courage is always something you're jumping to, not something that's pushing you forward. You know, your past experiences going, I had the courage, I found the courage to make the jump. I had enough willpower, whatever it is, to do the jump to go, I'm going to grab the courage on my way to landing at the end of that next jump.
yeah, beautifully said. And it's, I've never really thought about that way, even though it just kind of spewed out of my mouth. And that's a beautiful mindset. I love that. Um, that's great.
Yeah, like it's an interesting place to play from. So
It is.
well, let's talk a little bit about like you've made the jump now to fatherpreneur. Let's share a little bit about what you're doing with it and why it's important and where you see the next jump to grab more courage where it's going to come from. And let's go there. And then I want to kind of dig around a little bit about your explore being somebody who doesn't play in social media, taking that leap into LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my next leap with the Fatherpreneur is the YouTube show. Again, putting myself out there on a platform. Even though I have been posting content on LinkedIn, I'm not on video. This is actually my first live event that I've ever done. This is yeah, this is only my second recording of myself. Actually, I'm not, I'm very, I don't know. I've never really put myself out there on social media until the beginning of this year, 2023. And so I would say like the next leap is again like putting myself on video, and of course my daughter. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
she's been poking at me to have her own YouTube show for some time now. But I think it will be good to roll it out together.
Right. I think that's going to be really special too, being able to do it together. You have a way of like helping protect a little bit online as well, being a bit of that buffer. Well, pointing towards the LinkedIn stuff. So you weren't posting 2023, which is the year that we're recording this in right now, is the year you started posting on social media. So what are you sharing and what got you start? What was that first leap to grab the courage posting to LinkedIn?
It was believing in myself and my marketing and sales. So if I was to define my professional career and me, I would say I'm a marketing and sales generalist. I don't specialize in anything in particular, but I can see things through A to Z. And I have a lot of experience with startup companies and opening up my own businesses. And so yeah, I was trying to come onto LinkedIn to find clients, honestly, start consulting and coaching and find companies who were interested in a consultant, and really fell on deaf ears. I mean, I was making, and I gained a couple of clients. I still have a client. And I was creating carousels. I was committing all this time to marketing and sales content. And again, it's just a convoluted space, and rightfully so. But there was a moment in time where I was like, man, I've stumbled on this solopreneur word, which I've never seen before. And so I was like, what's a solopreneur? And, did some research about it. And I was like, you know what? For me, I'm always a father. And so I simply just changed my headline to Fatherpreneur to kind of stand out.
Yeah.
And from there, I had to define the word because everybody was interested in what my headline was. I was getting messages from people I didn't even knew, and they were like, "What does this mean?" So from there, I had to define the word, and that's when I changed my content. I was like, you know what? I'm done with marketing and sales. I'm just gonna post about being a father and
Mm.
fatherhood, and like my daughter's entrepreneurial journey, my own entrepreneurial journey. Like I guess I've never really given myself credit throughout all the leaps. And, I've probably fallen on my face more than not than on those leaps.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why you feel like, man, I took a leap, I fell short. I'm not giving myself credit. Like, but yet you hear all these stories, and that's part of it. As we've been saying this whole time, that is part of it. And so I gave myself credit, found the courage somehow, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be talking about fatherhood, and teaching kids entrepreneurial skills and making sure that they know they should pursue their passions and their business.
Right. I love that. Well,
Yeah, man, it was pretty incredible how just like I said, accidentally happened.
and there's like a yes and to that, right? Like accidentally you found this specific niche, but by no accident did you continue to make those leaps and that trust in yourself, going, I don't know what's on this other side when I land. I'm going to go find out. I'm going to go find out. I'm going to go find. This is what I want to be doing. I like entrepreneurship. I like building businesses. You have these skills around marketing and sales, all very, very valuable uh, tools and experiences to have, especially in this space. Going, I don't quite know what it is yet, but I know how to chip away to find what it is.
Yeah, and I'm grateful. I mean, LinkedIn changed my life. It actually
Mm.
changed my life. If I didn't make a post on LinkedIn, Fatherpreneur would not be a thing right now. And I'm grateful that LinkedIn, I guess, is my first platform as well, just because it really represents who I am as a person. I would say, I'm a very positive, like friendly, like I'm comical. Like I enjoy supporting people, even if I
Yeah.
don't know that person. I'm gonna root for them, and that's just how I am outside. And a lot of people outside in the real world look at you like, "What are you crazy?" But like on LinkedIn, everybody's really like that, so it's really cool. Um, but for me, I committed to it hardcore. I jumped into the algorithm, and I found success. I believe I crossed like 4,000 followers.
Wow.
I was,
Congrats.
yeah, I've had posts that broke like 10,000 impressions, 100 comments. But again, like I hit a moment where this isn't what I'm trying to do. I'm not in this for impressions. I'm not in this for engagement. I'm just trying to get a message across and tell my life story. And again, I've had to pull back because I was committing too much time, and it just didn't feel right for me. So at this moment, I'm really just kind of in cruise control, Gene.
Well, it sounds like cruise control has a consistency in it. You use the word, you committed to it and you were consistent with it. Care to share a little bit about like what that is? Because there's lots of solopreneurs, fatherpreneurs, mamapreneurs, all the preneurs out there that are going, here's this Nick who hasn't posted really, jumped into LinkedIn. We are now in the middle of 2023 going, this has already changed my life by being open to sharing my journey. Let's talk a little bit about that because neither of us are Gary Vee. We don't have the big teams that are pumping out like 4, 5, 10 pieces of content a
Oh
day. So,
yeah,
like, what does that look like in the bounds of still being kind of an army of one?
extremely time consuming. And
Mm.
those two words are everything: commitment, consistency. One of my all-time favorite words, and it was actually on my LinkedIn banner. I had three words on my LinkedIn banner. It was persistence, which is my favorite word, empathy, and strategy. Because those
Mm.
three words, like I love those three words. And for me, it takes that on LinkedIn. There's no like hidden variables in the equation. Like the equation's there, the answer key is there. You just have to follow it, and it's a matter of engagement. Engagement is the secret sauce. Like be you, be you. The more you can be you, the more people will connect, and it takes time. Like I was committed to, waking up at 4 a.m., engaging for an hour before my post, posting at 5 a.m. Pacific time because 8 a.m. Eastern's when everybody posts. You
Yeah.
have to engaging after. I send well over 100 messages every single week where
Oh,
it's
wow.
not like copy paste message. It's I'm typing out a message to a specific person, reaching out to them. And, I would say I have an advantage because, well, one, I have a beautiful daughter on my profile picture, so that helps. And I mean, I'm a father, and my
Yeah.
content is fatherhood, so I'm not it's not like I have a SaaS product in my background and they're like, why is this guy sending me a friend request? It's like,
Right.
I'm really just, hey, nice to meet you. Like, I'm really just trying to set up calls. For the past 3 months, I've done nothing but set up calls from LinkedIn and enjoyed every single call. Like, every time I walk out of my office, I go to my girlfriend. It's like, I just had the best call. Like, I love that guy. Like, I love her. She's amazing.
Oh man, that's like flashbacks to me of like 2019. Like the person that introduced us was Tom Broxham. He's been on this show 3 times,
Love
and
Tom.
he's a brother of mine for sure from another mother. Um, but it all comes down from that time of like going, I'm just gonna focus on engaging. I'm gonna focus on making some calls and connect. If there's opportunities, if we like each other, the opportunities will show up, right? Like, and that's the reality of like not trying to force it. So being with your brand and everything else, kind of like 100 messages a week, man. That's incredible. That's not a small amount of work. And I think when we're we've talked about this. You even said cruise control. Be like, there are a lot of people that could be listening to this going 100 messages a week. That's cruise control. Like, now, no, don't don't lose the fact that Nick's got a chill vibe and he's using the words like cruise control, but he's persistent and he's committed to this, and it quite clearly has a strategy that's helping him live towards and move towards integrating his dreams into the rest of his life.
Absolutely. And that's what the platform is going to be geared towards. And that's what my YouTube show is going to be geared towards. It's not going to be about my story. It's going to be about that father's entrepreneur, like his kid's entrepreneurial journey, and like
Yeah.
what that father and kid are doing together, and like what we can do together as father kid combos. And I mentioned my daughter's art show, and this is what I really really hope for, is that she gets the opportunity to connect with other kids from around the world that also share her passions. Like,
Mm.
just because somebody in her class or in her neighborhood or in her family, her cousins don't have that same interest, like, that's it. She hits a roadblock and now she's by herself. One of the main things I love about the video game industry is I have best friends who I have never met in my entire life. Like, I've known them since I was 13 years old. I talk to them maybe on like a monthly basis here and
Yeah.
there, but like, they're my best friends and I've
Yeah.
never met them. And the video game industry provides kids that platform to connect over a common interest. But why only video? Like, if my daughter's into Canva and making marketing flyers, like, there's definitely another kid somewhere that has that same interest.
Oh,
Why can't they
100%.
connect? Or
Yeah.
like, somebody who, if she's like, drawing a blank, but like, if she wants to, her art show, if there was somebody who has a website, like, or his son does like some light coding and website development,
Yeah.
they could have connected and her art show could have had a website built, and these two kids created a partnership and are now rolling out something extremely cool together. And that's my goal.
I love that, man. And it speaks to I hear words of like it takes practice. Like it's a daily commitment to that practice. It's that wrap that in persistence. There's that empathy, which within empathy, it comes right down to connection and relationship, right? Like you empathy isn't there if you're not focused on relationship of some shape or form. And how do you want to be with that? And that strategy again is like how do you bring all your skills and experience together to sharpen that? Is like iron sharpens iron. Steel sharpens steel, sorry. Right? So like
No
you
worries.
bring that together and great things can happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. um I just had a thought too from something you said, but now I'm drawing a blank.
It happens, and sometimes steel makes the other
Right.
steel. Forgive me for saying.
Oh
Yes.
man.
Well, we're kind of getting to that point, where I said I was going to look up and see that we were at the 40-minute mark. And I've looked up, and we're right at the 40-minute mark, my friend. This has been a great conversation of
Or
talking
was.
about that, what it takes to have the persistence, why it's important to take the jump to reach for courage, and what you've learned from hitting your I can't do this anymore, and how do I start stripping off those masks and integrate all the pieces of my life.
100%. And I mean, this has been an amazing conversation. And I actually remember my thought now
All
because
right, let's bring it back in.
you mentioned the word empathy again. I actually rolled out a poll the other day on LinkedIn for parents. It was like, what is one characteristic you wish you want to instill in your children? Obviously, there's a million of them,
Yeah.
but I just picked 4 just to kind of test the waters.
Yeah.
And it was empathy, ambition, creativity, and I believe it was compassion. And empathy won, like
Yeah.
by a long shot. Empathy won, and there was like over 80 votes on it as well. And it was just, empathy is, I mean, it's a catalyst for businesses and people and our children. And there's a lot of, my daughter and I are putting together like a fatherpreneurship book where we're going to label 50 of these traits and skills that we want to like pass on. So yeah,
I think I look forward to continuing to watch and connect with you, and as your ambitions with you and Savannah grow, and what it becomes over these next few years, Nick. Like it's really just the beginning. The reality is you're starting a business. It's like the first 3 years are going, holy shit, how do I figure this out, and what do I do with it, and how do I operate it? Do I even have a thing? It's like the first 3 years, and you're in the thick of, you're halfway through year one.
Yeah, I can't believe it's May already. Holy cow. At the end of May as well. It's about to, actually, this is my birthday week. I turned 31 on Friday.
Well, happy birthday on Friday.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I mean, I'm honored to be here, and that this was a great conversation. Thank you for, like just being able to bounce these ideas and thoughts off one another. This was awesome.
Well, that's the idea of the show, is like we talk about the bumps and the triumphs that go along, and it's like it's really about, like, we're all going to stumble, and we all get the choice to pick ourselves back up, and what did we learn? And if our conversation can help just one person go, oh, I can get a little bit further, they can stand on our shoulders just to reach the next ladder rung that we weren't able to, that's the win, man. Like that's what we're all here for, is like, if we can't help move somebody forward, then why are we doing it? And that's what makes it easy to get onto these calls every day as an introvert myself. But here we are, spending an hour just riffing and talking and putting ourselves out there.
And live. And live.
And live.
No, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. And again, I'm beyond grateful to be here. And thank you for letting me, tell my story and my daughter's story. And like you said, this is just the beginning. Like I'm stoked to like see what's to come, man. I'm off the cliff right now, and it's like I'm literally headed downwards, and it's like, this is the best. Like, I love this. Let's go. We'll see what's
I know what I'm doing. I'm building the plane on the way down. Well, we're at that point where you get to brag a little bit and share a little bit more about Fatherpreneur, what it's up, who should be connecting with it, and what are they going to get from being part of the community that you're building?
Yeah. So I would say anybody who has that entrepreneurial spirit, a father who has that entrepreneurial spirit and wants to pass that down to their kids, whether it's, I have some fathers in there that have 2-year-olds and like 1-year-olds, and it's way too early on, obviously, but like they are just ahead of the curve because they want to teach their kids this spirit. And the way I envision the community is very similar to Career Day. If you remember Career Day in school,
yeah,
it's career day all day, every day. So you can always plug in, and if you want to learn a skill, you can learn it right there from a father and a kid who does that for a living. Right. And you're able to connect, not only learn from them if you want to just learn to educate yourself, or if you want to learn to pursue that as a career. And I just want kids to know that if they're passionate about something, like, hey, there's going to be a platform where, you could harness that skill, strengthen it, and turn that passion into a business. Yeah, thanks, man. And I really want to focus on specific skills. So it's going to be not like English, social studies, science. It's like, we're talking SEO and copywriting, public speaking and communication, like negotiation, commercial real estate, financial literacy, like taxes, insurances, like cybersecurity, like website design. Like, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but it's so known that our kids are easy to develop a foreign language, in school as they're younger. Like, Kids are so susceptible to learn a foreign language. Teach them when they're younger.
Yeah.
Why just a foreign language? That means doesn't that also apply? I could teach my daughter how to build a website if she has a passion for that. Or again, like how to go outside and how to throw a softball, or how to start learning about the housing market. Like,
Yeah.
just because they're at an age doesn't mean they can't. And so the community is going to be, harness these passions, harness these skills, strengthen these skills, and essentially build and kid businesses. I want a
Love that.
platform where kids can develop businesses and connect with other kids who share these passions.
That's cool. And all being partnering with their fathers on this journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, in theory, it's the fathers who are the professors, quote unquote, of the classrooms in the community who do this for a living and are able to teach this. It's like, for example, if there was a father who wanted to learn how to do a live talk show and just didn't know where to find that information, rather than go on Google or try and find somebody on LinkedIn or go watch a couple of videos on YouTube, they can go into the Fatherpreneur community. They already know Gene because they've connected with him, and Gene can, that's what he does, and he can teach you.
That's so cool.
And
It's
so on
like
and
a
so forth.
built-in mentorship. There's a brotherhood to this as well, and a whole lot of other things. So if any of this is interest, down below in the show notes are the links for Fatherpreneur. Definitely check it out and connect with Nick. Nick, again, brother, thank you so much for being on the show. Second time you've been recorded. It's an honor. It was great. Do more of it. It's always good to put yourself continuing making those leaps. Before I let you go, I've got one last question I'm going to ask you.
Hit me.
So we're going to jump in my time machine. We're going to go ahead 10 years into the future. When we open the door, there's future you. What's the one thing he says thank you to you for?
We're jumping in a time machine and going 10 years forward.
Forward, yeah.
What's the one thing he thanks me for?
Yeah.
Not giving up.
Mm.
Not giving up. Staying persistent. Keep going.
Keep going.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, and to everybody else, thank you for watching another episode of Livecast Conversations with. I'm your host, Gene, and we will be kicking around next Wednesday. Until then, have yourself a good one, and we'll see you all next time. Oh, one last thing. It's the legal language. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals.